Hello, today I'll be doing a reading from the book 101 Things You Don't Know About Science and No One Else Does Either by the prophet James Treffel. I'll be doing a reading from chapter 1, verse 1. The chapter Top 10 Problems in Science. The verse, why is there something instead of nothing? Why is there a universe at all? How could everything we see around us have been created out of nothing? When you begin to think about how the universe began, you naturally wonder what was here before it began. The obvious answer is nothing. But what exactly is nothing? The best way to characterize current thinking on this question is to say that nothing just ain't what it used to be. For most of recorded history, people have had a problem thinking about nothingness or the vacuum. Indeed, recognition, the very existence of such a state is fairly recent. The reason for this difficulty isn't hard to find. Have you ever tried to picture nothing? I can't do it. I can picture empty space surrounding something, two basketballs, for example, but I can't picture the absence of everything. And this shortcoming of human imagination has influenced our thoughts about nature. Scientists accepted the existence of the vacuum only when the results of repeated experiments drove them to do so. But that acceptance... Okay, I got plenty of time, sorry. But that acceptance didn't last long. With the advent of quantum mechanics, our picture of nothing changed again. Instead of a passive, inert absence of matter, quantum theory tells us that the vacuum is both active and dynamic. According to the laws of quantum mechanics, a bit of matter can appear spontaneously out of nothing, provided that a corresponding bit of antimatter appears at the same time, and that 2, the matter and antimatter come together and annihilate each other, disappearing back into the vacuum, in a time so short that their presence cannot be directly measured. This process is called the creation of a virtual pair of particles, one of matter and one of antimatter. Think of the vacuum as a level field, and the creation of a virtual pair as like digging a hole and piling the dirt up. Then you have a particle, the pile of dirt, and an antiparticle, the hole. But when you put all the dirt back in the hole, you're back to the level field again. So the modern vacuum is a little like popcorn popping, except that this popcorn can unpop as well. A virtual pair pops up here and unpops, and then another pops up there, and so on. And lest you think this is all a fairy tale, I should point out that occasionally a particle travels through space, such as an electron, comes near one of these virtual pairs, and is very subtly altered by the encounter. That subtle alteration can be detected. So the concept of quantum mechanical vacuum is backed up by more than just imagination. So the nothing from which the universe sprang was not just the absence of everything, but a nothing with virtual pairs of very energetic particles popping up and disappearing all over the place. Exactly how this sort of vacuum led to the universe we live in remains the big question. And all sorts of theoretical speculations have been advanced about how the system might work. Let me talk about my favorite type of theory to give you a sense on how these theories operate. Think of the fabric of space as being something like the membrane of a very special kind of balloon. The presence of any matter, even virtual pairs of particles, causes the fabric to bulge. This drains energy from the gravitational field to make matter. If the bending is severe enough, the balloon starts to expand. In this scheme, if the virtual pairs pop for a long enough time, eventually enough of them will pop in the same place at the same time to bend the fabric enough to start the expansion going. This is the event we usually refer to as the Big Bang. Oddly enough, calculations indicate that it really doesn't take very much mass to set this process off. About 10 pounds packed into a volume smaller than a proton would do the job nicely. In most theories, the energy needed to create the rest of the mass of the universe came from the warping of gravitational fields later on. This particular version of creation has several interesting aspects. For example, it leaves open the possibility that the process could still be going on, and thus that there might be other universes out there. Parallel universe, I'll cover that in another video. Furthermore, it raises the possibility that we might be able to create our own universes by manipulating matter, what cosmologist Alan Guth calls the universe in your basement kit. And finally, it provides writers with some tremendously useful quotes. For example, here physicist Edward Tyrone commenting on the fact that creation may just be a statistical fluke. Perhaps the universe is just one of those things that happens now and again. That has been a reading from the good book, 101 Things You Don't Know About Science and No One Else Does Either, by the prophet James Treffel. Thank you for listening, and good night.